John McAfee, pioneer in the cybersecurity industry, the founder of the software company McAfee Associates, now CEO of MGT Capital Investments. Good evening, welcome to Romania.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Mr. McAfee, there are all these debates and headlines in today's media about cybersecurity, hacks, information security, and so on. So, before diving into our discussions, how would you describe the sense of security in the digital world in 2017?
How would I describe the sense of security? Well, we have none. There is no security whatsoever. I think this is the problem that cybersecurity professionals like myself face every day. I see people walking around, everyone has their phones out. While you are watching your phone is watching you. This is just a fact of life. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are in order to help you. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes. And so you're looking at your phone and you have all of these facilities, but it is the world's greatest spy device, designed as a spy device. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as long as the person spying on you is spying on you for benign reasons, meaning maybe they just want to sell you something. They notice that you just mentioned to someone that you were hungry and they know where you are, and there's a Chinese or a Japanese restaurant nearby, and they know you like Japanese and Chinese food because you frequently go there. And they say, oh, by the way, there's a Japanese restaurant right around the corner. That's cool. I can choose to say no. But hackers use those same facilities. They are built into the operating system. So if a hacker gets access to those facilities, they may choose to empty my bank account without my permission or knowledge, or to steal my identity, or to start charging things on my credit cards, or if I have a Bitcoin wallet or an Ethereum wallet, they can empty my wallets. That's the problem that we have, and that's just on the individual level. On the corporate level, it's horrific because the problem is magnified by the number of people within the corporation. And on the nation-state level, it's even more horrific because the nation-states have been spending years and literally billions of dollars weaponizing software to the point that almost every developed nation has the ability to press a button and destroy the power grid in any other nation. This is the facts. This is not science fiction. This is not me being paranoid. I mean, perhaps I am paranoid, but what I just told you is real, nevertheless.
So you are speaking about various problems, right? What's the solution?
Well, actually, I'm not even talking about virus problems anymore. I think the antivirus paradigm is no longer functional. It doesn't work. I said this 10 years ago, and I'm the person who invented it. So people should listen. I mean, if I invented it and I built the first antivirus company, viruses are not the problem. By the time hackers have planted malware in your system, it's way too late. The hackers spend weeks, months, or sometimes years sniffing around in your system, taking what they want before they even plant malware. And sometimes they don't. I mean, unless you're trying to ransom something, like a hospital, take all their data and encrypt it, and say for $100,000 you can have it back. You'll need malware at that point, but by then it's too late. Because by the time you found the malware has already done the damage. See, this is the problem. It's a reactive paradigm, and we have to become proactive.
How do we do this?
Well, from a technological standpoint, I'm personally developing products that focus on identifying the hacker, not the malware. By the time the malware is there, as I said, it's too late. So, but you can find the presence of a hacker in your system so easily. And every hacker has to go through certain steps in order to break into any system and do damage. The first thing they have to do is get through the firewall. after they've gotten through, and all firewalls have holes. It's impossible to build a firewall that can keep out all hackers. It just can't be done. They have to get through the firewall, and then they have to find out where they are. And so what's on this net? So they sniff every device on the network. That's an anomaly. That's behavior which is not normal. I mean, who does that? Nobody. So just a very simple hardware box with very simple software would be able to at least identify that much. If you're watching all the traffic on the network and you see, well, someone just came in through port 80, well, that itself is strange. No one comes in through that port, but they did. And then they sniffed the refrigerator or whatever's connected. If it's the Internet of Things, remember, you might have a refrigerator on your network. Refrigerator, everybody's workstation, the main server, and all the honeypots in my device. Well, that's crazy. So within a matter of seconds, I can then send an email or a text message to the CIO and say, a hacker just came in, or what looks like a hacker. And that's only one of the types of things that hackers do. There are many thousands. So, and I'm not the only person working on this. There are, others that see the insanity of what we're doing and are doing similar things. So we have a device coming out in just a couple of months called Sentinel that will identify within a matter of seconds. Now, we're not going to do anything about it. That's your job as the CIO or as the network manager. We can say there's a hacker in the system that came in through port 80, this is what they're doing. We will continue to monitor them. But you have to make some decisions as the human being. What do? You could call the authorities. I mean, I wouldn't advise that because your business will be shut down virtually because the authorities will be running around and your employees are going to be watching and no one's going to be working. You might just simply shut down port 80 and forget it. Maybe he'll come in through another port later, we don't know. If so, my box Sentinel will tell you about it. So isn't that more sane? Because it's the hackers that are doing the damage, not the software they've created. The hackers create that software. It's the hackers we must concern ourselves with. We've been fighting the end product of what hackers have created rather than the hacker himself or herself. So the proactive approach, and there are many products that we're working on that do the same thing, where we're dealing with the human element rather than the product of what the human has created.
Where does education stand in this whole equation?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing, everybody in this room should educate yourself about these little devices everyone is holding up and carrying, because they truly are spy devices. You have people, I mean, I've even heard people at Google say that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Well, I've never heard anything crazier. I mean, who among us has nothing to hide? I'm serious. It's not, do you have something to hide, but what is it that you're trying to hide and from whom? Think about this. Everyone exercises a different degree of privacy hundreds or sometimes thousands of times per day. I just met you. I'm not likely right now, especially with everybody watching, to tell you the intimate details of my life. It's like if I go to the store and buy some nice Romanian beer, I don't tell the clerk what I did last night in my private hours. No, we have very restricted lines of conversation. The weather, politics maybe, the price of potatoes, and that's it. You meet a casual acquaintance that you see every week, you might divulge more. Maybe you have a health problem you want to talk to them about. A good friend, you might divulge almost everything. And to your spouse, to your wife, or to your husband, you might tell them everything. Unless maybe you're sleeping with your wife's sister, in which case you might choose not. So do you see what I'm saying? So that if everybody knew everything about everyone else, we would have chaos in the streets, beginning with a rash of people shooting their spouses. So it's insane to say if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We're all humans. We are living in an imperfect world. You know, we each have love and compassion and joy and hope and grace. And at the same time, we have greed and anger and hostility and jealousy. And we're a mixed bag. So if you want all of that negative known too, no, we can't. Society has created privacy as the foundation stone of a harmonious world. And if we lose that, we will lose the harmony.
What do you think about all these emerging technologies that are now being used by giant companies in the industry? And I'm speaking about, for example, cloud storage or all those data mining technologies.
Yes.
How long will these last as secure technologies? What do you think?
They're not secure. They're not secure now. I mean, I'm here to speak at Brock Pierce's brainchild, D10E. On cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency, people say, well, how secure is Bitcoin? I go, what side do you want to look at? If you want to look at the blockchain, I think it's extremely secure. It's a mathematical principle that allows you to validate with absolute certainty a source and destination for any transaction. That's very powerful. On the other hand, I see people who put wallets on their smartphones. Now, something that you may not know is that over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. Every pornography site in the world, if you have ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at pornography, but if you have, if there's a rare exception, then you have keystroke locking software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay? Yes, you're paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, you now, because that's a click-through, you clicked, you did something. You said, yes, oh, good, yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program.